Hi everybody, welcome to this new chapter in your course Introduction to Linguistics. This new chapter, which is Semantics. And of course semantics is the study of the meaning of morphemes, words, phrases and sentences. The main notion that we are going to explain here is the notion of meaning. Now what are we supposed to know about meaning? Among the things native speakers know when we say they know meaning is to make the distinction between meaningful expressions and meaningless ones. For example, we have got three sentences here. Native speakers can easily say which one is meaningful, which one is meaningless, and which one is not acceptable from a semantic point of view, but it needs some kind of effort to interpret it, figuratively. Look at this case. Missile drink bullets, the field battle in the. This is not meaningful because it is meaningless because it does not observe the syntactic rules of the English language. But missiles eat humans in battlefield. From a semantic point of view, it cannot be accepted. But still, we can give it a figurative interpretation. But missiles kill thousands of human beings. This one is meaningful. It's totally grammatical. So here we have got degrees of acceptability and meaningfulness here. A word can have two or more meanings. Bank, ruler. Just check up the meaning of these two words. You are going to know that they have got more than one meaning. Another thing that we are supposed to know as native speakers, a sentence has got two meanings. Therefore, it is ambiguous. So here we can talk about two cases of ambiguity here. Ambiguity which is lexical and the one which is structural. In this sentence we have got lexical ambiguity because the ambiguity here lies in the fact that the word bank has got more than one meaning. I went to the bank, it may mean I went to the side of the river, or I went to that institution from which we can get money. Same thing here, Muhammad hit the man with the glove. Here we have got structural ambiguity because it depends on how we structure the sentence, how we divide the sentence in terms of constituents here. So here, the first interpretation, you can say Muhammad hit the man with the gloves, which means he used the gloves to hit the man. But the second interpretation, Muhammad hit the man with the gloves. So which means that which man? That man with the gloves. Okay, so Muhammad hit which man? The man with the gloves here. So look here, we have got two interpretations depending on how we structure this sentence here. So another thing that we are supposed to know as native speakers is the association between objects and words. Of course, when you use a word, you should know what it corresponds to in the outside word. If you use the word tree, you know that the word tree refers to a particular object, in nature. Man refers to a particular human being. Same thing for woman, boy, girl. And notice here, we can even make associations between words in this set here. Man, woman, boy, girl belong to this set because they share one feature. All of them are plus human. Okay, now cook, boil, bake, roast. Here we have got verbs that can have some kind of correspondence with some activities, some actions here. So cook, we know what we mean by cook. We mean what we mean by boil. We know what we mean by bake, roast, and still we can make some kind of relationship between these verbs in this set here. All of them deal with the ways of cooking here. The verb to cook is the general verb, okay, the general action. Boiling is a way of cooking, bake is a way of cooking, roast is a way of cooking here. So we can make first of all some kind of association between the words and what they refer to, what they denote as objects in the outside world or actions. And we can even make some link between the words themselves here. Now we can also know the difference between true and false sentences. For example, the sun rises from the east. this is automatically true. But men get pregnant, this is of course, automatically false, because it does not correspond to our knowledge about, this word. Now, what we have just seen are just some pieces of, information that we are supposed to know about meaning in general, but we have got many other things. But in a way, the job of linguistics is to reveal and make explicit this knowledge about meaning that every speaker has. So, which means, all speakers share more or less the same knowledge about the meaning of words, the meaning of sentences. And it's this fact of sharing this meaning that allows us to be successful in our communication acts. Now, the first subfield of semantics is lexical semantics. Lexical semantics, here we are dealing with the meaning of words. That's why we have got word meaning. Why are we going to deal with the meaning of words? Is it that essential? Is it important? Of course, yes, because we have got a fact here. This fact says the meaning of a phrase or a sentence is partially a function of the meaning of the words it contains. So, in fact, here the meaning of words is primary. That's why we need first of all to know, to explain the meaning of words. So let's talk about word meaning and the semantic relationships that exist between words and morphemes here. Of course, we are going to know, to explain briefly, of course, the problem of word meaning. Now, let's have a look at this here. The meaning of words is part of linguistic knowledge that we share. So we have got the whole linguistic knowledge, and the meaning about being, the knowledge about meaning is just one component in this big knowledge, in this big linguistic knowledge that we all possess as native speakers. Now, let's first of all try to explain, as I said, this notion of word meaning. What do we mean by meaning and word meaning here? We are going to deal with some proposals, some approaches, some, if you like, theories. The first one is called, reference, or the referential theory. Here, according to this approach or theory, it is said that the meaning of a word is its association with the object it refers to. For example, when I want to use the word pen, I know that it refers to a certain device, object, by means of which I write. The word boy, I know that I am referring to a particular human being. A tree, same thing here, table, chair. So here there is this one-to-one correspondence between word and its object that it refers to in the outside world. This is the main point behind this referential theory or reference. Now, this first approach encounters problems. Why? Because reference is vague. Let's talk about these examples here. What do we mean by a mountain? When I use the word mountain, according to this referential theory, I am referring to an element in nature. Same thing, about hill. But what's the difference between a mountain and a hill? How can we make a clear-cut division between mountain and hill? Same thing for tree. We have different kinds of tree, and we have different kinds of plants. Okay, but the border line between trees and other plants is not that clear. So, in fact, here, when I use tree, am I referring to proper trees or some other trees that resemble trees, but they are referred to just as plants here? Same thing for birds. Of course, we know that birds fly. But what about hens and roosters? They are also birds, but of course they don't fly. Why do we include hens and roosters, in the category of birds, although they don't fly here? So, which means that, our words that we use to name things or objects in general, are not that clear. They are vague. So, because reference is vague here. So, we are referring to varieties of things or varieties of objects. We are not referring to a particular thing or object in itself here. This is what you have got in here. The word does not refer to a particular thing with its own properties. Rather, it refers to a variety of things. It's kind of prototype. The moment you use the word tree, you are referring to different kinds of tree. This one is just a representative of different kinds here. So we have the idea of things we speak about, if you like. Still, what about happiness or freedom? These words and many others like them can't be presented concretely through objects. If we say that tree can be presented concretely through some objects in nature, mountain, boy, and other things, what about happiness and freedom? I mean, there is nothing to be considered as a concrete object to say this is the object corresponding to freedom or happiness here. So which means, according to the referential theory, I mean, these two words have no meaning because they have no reference. But of course, as native speakers know, these are two different words. They have got meaning, but of course they have no object corresponding to them. Still, ghost, dragon, unicorn, although they don't exist, for people they have meaning. This is meaning. They exist in people's imagination. So still we have got another set of words which represent what we call counterexamples to this reference theory. Still, what about the, and, if, that, which, and we have got others. I mean, these words don't refer to any situation here. Does this mean that they are not words, they have no meaning? So we have got different counterexamples, things that cannot be accounted for by means of this first theory. Which means that we need to, change a little bit that first theory. And the second one which was proposed is the image explanation, or the image theory. It is said according to this theory that the meaning of words is the image that we have got in our mind corresponding to those words. It's not, if you like, according to the first theory, it's not what we call certain objects, concrete objects or concrete unit. It's just an image that exists in our mind, just to solve the problem of many words. For example, when I use the word dog, I have got a certain image corresponding to dog. Same thing for lion, same thing for house. But what about than, the, and, which? Can we talk about images in our mind corresponding to these words? So these are still same, counterexamples to the second explanation or theory here. Still, what about freedom and intelligence, or justice, or other things here? In fact, we cannot have certain images corresponding to them. We are still left with the same counterexamples as before. Now, a third, alternative, a third theory here is the conceptual theory. Here it is said that the relationship between the word and what it refers to is an indirect relationship. Look at this broken line there. This relationship is obtained through a concept. This concept that exists in our mind. So if you notice that we have replaced here image by concept. So for example, I can say that the meaning of freedom, this word here, freedom, refers to a certain concept that I have got in here, rather than the image here. So I can have a concept in my mind of freedom or intelligence. So it seems that I have got, to some extent, I have solved the problem of words like freedom, intelligence, or intelligence. Even dog, I can say that the word dog does not refer to a particular dog, but I have just a concept of dog, or a concept of house. But still, what about these words, that, the, or, which, and others? Can we say that I have got a concept of the word that in my mind, which is its meaning, Of course not. So we have got a whole list of words that cannot be accounted for in a successful way by means of this third theory, which is the conceptual theory. What does this suggest? Through this first brief survey of the three theories. First, the referential theory, the image theory, and the conceptual theory. All of them try to explain words by referring to things that exist outside language. So all of them are, they exist in what we call the extralinguistic approach, as opposed to the intralinguistic approach, the one that we're going to see later on. This is the one that is going to yield or to give us sense, the sense of words. Okay, so if you like, stating meaning in terms of reference has problems at the level of reference, image, and concepts. And what is the alternative? What is the other way to deal with meaning in a clear way? Is to say this extralinguistic approach, the one we have seen before, is not enough to show the meaning of words, which means that we need also to consider the intralinguistic approach. What do you mean by intralinguistic? We are going to explain language by language. We are going to remain inside language. Okay? So this is the solution that we have just mentioned. The reference part of a word's meaning is the association with its referent. This is what we said. And this is the second part. And the sense part of a word contains the information needed to complete the association and to suggest properties that the referent may have, whether it exists in the real world or in the world of imagination. In this way, it seems that we are going to solve the problem of things that do not exist, things that cannot have images or concepts corresponding to them. Now let's talk about just this example to make things clear between reference and sense. Look, the evening star and the morning star. The evening star refers to the same entity, the same unit, which is referred to by means of the morning star. Both of them refer to Venus, but in terms of sense they are different. Evening is not the same thing as morning. Here the star that we see in the evening, here it's the star that we see in the morning. So in terms of sense they are different, but in terms of reference they are the same here. So what does this mean? We have to consider words both from the referential point of view and from the sense point of view here. So these are two main components that should go hand in hand. Now, this sense represents what you call those additional elements of meaning. We will be dealing with additional elements of meaning that we term as sense here. Of course, when we try to identify the sense of words, we are able to relate words with each other. We are able to explain the relationship, the link that exists between words. So words are related to each other in a variety of ways, and this is what we mean by lexical relations. Words contract relationships between them, and this is what native speakers know. Every speaker knows that words contract relations among themselves. And the first relation that we are going to explain is synonymy. Here it simply means the same meaning. This is word meaning. Same meaning in some or all contexts. Of course, when I say same meaning, it's not always exactly the same. We are going to see that we have got different kinds of synonymy, by the way. Let's look at the examples. Apathetic, phlegmatic, passive, sluggish, indifferent. All these words have got something in common. They mean more or less the same thing in here. They have got the same meaning. Pedigree, ancestry, genealogy, descent, lineage here. all these words once again have got more or less the same meaning. Sofa, couch; manly, virile; heal, recuperate; sand, transmit; go down, descend. All here we have got words links to each other because more or less they have got the same meaning. Okay, when I say the same meaning, they refer to the same thing, they have got the same sense. Okay, so these are this is the first relationship between words. It's the relationship of synonymy. But synonymy is of different kinds. We can talk about partial synonymy. Here we can talk about same sense. For example, father, daddy; thrifty, mean; die, pass away; kick the bucket; sleep, slumber. Of course, here they have got the same meaning. For example, sleep, slumber; they have got a bit the same meaning. Okay, but of course, in some context, they cannot be used interchangeably. They don't possess all semantic features. For example, sleep is the general word, the general verb, but slumber means exactly the same thing as sleep, but it can be used only in some restricted context. For example, in poetry. So this is the literary, use of sleep here. Of course, the difference between father and daddy. Okay, daddy, what we call child talk here. Thrifty, mean. So here we have got, different words, referring to the same, if you like, action, the same object, but we have got some slight differences between them as far as their sense is concerned. Complete synonymy here, we have got, this is linked to context, of course, here. Border, frontier, they mean exactly the same thing. There are some contexts where we can use them interchangeably, but we have got other contexts where they cannot replace each other. Same thing for deep and profound: fondness, love, admiration, affection here. So here these words are complete synonymous in some contexts. They mean exactly the same thing and they can replace each other in some contexts. They are complete synonymous in some contexts, but of course not in all contexts here. Okay, the same thing here. Here we have got another category of synonymy that we call absolute synonymy. Absolute, it means they have got exactly the same reference, the same sense, and they can replace each other in all contexts. This is the case of, but of course this is very rare because the nature of language makes of it that we don't need absolute synonymy. There is no need for it. For example, wireless and the radio, sodium chloride and salt here, and we have got some minor cases like this here. So anyway, when we talk about synonymy, we have got different kinds: partial synonymy, complete synonymy, absolute synonymy here. And here we have got to stop in here. Later on I'm going to finish this lecture about semantics, and I'm going to introduce to you the other kinds of lexical relations.